Hello, and welcome to the Impromptu Series of the Kosciuszko Foundation. My name is Martin Labazevitch, and today I have a pleasure of talking with one of the most interesting and accomplished pianists of our generation, Alexander Kobrin. Alexander Cobrin was born and raised in Moscow, where he studied at the Knesset School of Music and later at the Moscow Conservatory. His teachers include two of the most legendary Russian pedagogues, Tatyana Zelikman and Lev Naumov. Mr. Kobrin's victories include some of the most prestigious piano competitions of our time, including the Busoni Piano Competition in Bolzano, Italy, the Scottish Piano Competition in Glasgow, Hamamatsu International Piano Competition in Japan, Van Cliburn Piano Competition in Fort Worth, Texas, as well as the Chopin International Piano Competition in Warsaw. Since his competition victories, Mr. Cobrin has been a guest with top symphonic orchestras around the world, such as the New York Philharmonic, Tokyo Philharmonic, BBC Symphony Orchestra, Russian National Orchestra, and Warsaw Philharmonic, among many others. He has performed in the most of the top concert halls around the world, including Carnegie Hall in New York City, Wigmore Hall in London, Salle Cortot in Paris, the Great Hall of the Moscow Conservatory, and the Warsaw Philharmonic Hall. Besides his extensive concert career, Mr. Cobrin is an esteemed pedagogue who taught at the Knesset Academy of Music in Moscow, Columbia State University, New York University, and since 2017, he has been on the piano faculty of the renowned Eastman School of Music in Rochester, New York. Mr. Cobrin is also a prolific recording artist, and his recordings have been released on Harmonia Mundi, Quartz, and Centaur labels. About his recording of the Rachmaninoff Second Piano Sonata, one of the most celebrated classical music magazines in the world, the Gramophone magazine wrote, "Despite firestorms of virtuosity, there is always room of everything to tell, and Cobrin achieves a hypnotic sense of the music's dark necromancy." Alex Cobrin here with us today. Thank you so much, Alex, for accepting the invitation for the Impromptu Series of the Kosciuszko Foundation. Thank you so much.
Great pleasure being with you.
The first question that I have for you is about the Chopin competition and about your preparation for it. I was reading your biography and I read that pretty much since the age of 18, I'm pretty sure also before, you were super successful in the competition circuit. 18 years old, Scottish Piano Competition, 19 years old, Busoni Piano Competition, and 20 years old, third prize at the Chopin competition in Warsaw. My question is, how were you able to prepare for the Chopin competition and keep such a huge amount of repertoire in your hands? Some pianists take years to prepare for a Chopin competition, which is pretty much a monographic competition. But you were able to pretty much year after year present new repertoire, vast repertoire, and then yet prepare for such difficult competition as the one in Warsaw. How long it took you to prepare for it?
Well, first of all, I should say that it was never a goal to go into any competition. It sort of happened because I had the repertoire ready. The repertoire that I was learning by myself with my teachers that I just wanted to learn. And then at a certain point, I remember my teacher at the Knesset School, Tatyana Zelikman, she suggested, maybe you should try a competition. You're 18 now. And it was the last year with her. And it was the transition to the conservatory where I studied with great Lev Naumov. And that was my first experience. And again, it was just like, let's try it and see what happens. And it was great. It was a great time because I would go and listen to every other competitor just because everybody seemed so nice and so great and amazing. And I was like, what am I doing there? And then Busoni was something similar. With Chopin, I've always, I admire Chopin. I have part of my family coming from Poland. And so it was very, very, something very close. And I traditionally both Tatiana Seligman and Lev Naumov, coming from Neuhaus background, and Chopin was obviously among the composers which those teachers expect you to play a lot. And I felt very natural with this music. And since I was, probably in the, as we say, modern language, high school. There was some new repertoire, something that I played before. And I guess because the reason I went for Chopin competition was because of my admiration of Chopin. I think it took very little effort to sort of prepare mentally, especially for this. And I can remember myself practicing, 12 hours a day, because it would normally take me about 2.5 hours to go to the conservatory and back home. And then, you have classes and then you practice in the conservatory. So it wasn't a lot of time. It was not very luxurious living. So I guess it was just years of pre-conservatory when I was at school, and just passion that drove me to on that path.
I wanted to ask you about your experience in Warsaw, about the city in Warsaw. Were you able to experience the culture, the food, the museums? Was it your first time?
I think so. It was my very first time in Warsaw, and the experience was extraordinary, and it was mixed, obviously, for several reasons. I remember I got into the cab at the hotel, and the Soviet building was right behind us. And the first thing the cab driver tells me, this is your gift to us. And I'm like, I have nothing to do with this really, but okay. And then, of course, everything what was surrounding the competition was amazing, and all the competitors, and I remember the piano selection and all that. And the city itself, obviously, everything was very new and fresh. I had some comical moments because, competition is a rather stressful time, not necessarily because you're going around and being jealous or suspicious. It's just lots of pressure from media, from attention you get. And of course, we find moments to relax. So my moments of relaxation where I would just go to the bar and order something, not a heavy drink, but just a coffee or something, and just have a sandwich and just sit there and chill. And I always loved to watch staff work. I had my experience being, working so serving coffee on the ship, in my teenage years. But I've always admired this work, and I was just watching people serving other people, And then after a couple days of that, I noticed a special treatment from staffers, and they would be very polite. They would give some free things for me, extra cup of coffee. And then after competition was over and we already became friends and they knew who I was, they told me the reason for that. They told me that at that time in Warsaw, there was this kind of union that would send people to check the work of hotel staff and restaurant service. And I said, but I'm 20 years old. I'm too young for that job. He said, you have no idea. I mean, they send kids, look like kids, people who look like kids, but they actually check our work. So we thought you are one of those guys who've been sent by that service to check how we work. And that was really funny after all. So that was, and again, I get great friends, and we would meet regularly when I would come back to Poland after that. It was a great time. It was a great time. Obviously, I met great friends for the rest of my life. Unfortunately, one of them is not with us any longer. The great Michaela Orsolesa passed a few years ago, and that was probably the most. You asked me about my memories of Chopin competition. Probably this is the first memory I have. A very sad memory in terms of how life goes. But it was a great experience, and I'm always happy to be back there.
Have you gone back many times after the competition?
Yes, it's been a lot, pretty much everywhere. In Warsaw, in Dushniki, in Krakow, in Wrocław, and that my family was from the place Kosciuszki in Poland.
Wow.
Which that time was the eastern Poland. Now it's western Belarus. And so it's always feels like coming a little bit towards home.
I wanted to ask you about the impact the competition had on your career and on your life.
I have no idea, because as you said, it was Glasgow, Busoni, and then Chopin. And already before Chopin, I had a management. And so if we're talking about practical stuff, how people get careers in concerts, that was already there. And I'm sure Chopin added to this, contributed to this a lot. And but most importantly, I think it was meeting new people who would really help me throughout. For example, that's when my relationship with the Yamaha company started. It was exactly in Warsaw. And it was a very pleasant beginning because I chose Steinway for the competition. And after that piano selection, one of Yamaha representative came to me and said, well, if you need extra time to practice, you can always come to our headquarters and, we're not going to charge you anything. It was very sweet. And I met people who we are in touch now. It's been 20 years. And we actually being good friends. And I think that's what the real competition should be about. It's really not about competing, but about what you keep for the rest of your life, what positive things you have. And there's people. And I can start a very long list of people who I'm friends now. We communicate and we talk and we remember things. And musically, again, it opened Poland for me in a very big scale. And again, that's a very pleasant experience every time to go back there. So I think it's contributed a lot into overall situation, because then I didn't compete for several years. And I think I just kept that good feeling about it.
Now, I remember talking to you about a year ago, and you said you were performing complete Chopin sonatas.
Yes.
Right. And I wanted to ask you, what role does music of Frederic Chopin play in your repertoire? And have you ever gone outside of the music of Chopin and explore other Polish composers?
Oh yes, I would. Otherwise, I would have been playing Chopin only, all my life. No, of course, and actually, after Chopin competition, it was time of several years, I would say, when I sort of stopped playing Chopin. Maybe because I was overwhelmed with the competition. So, because really, you go there and you said in monographic competition, everybody's playing Chopin. You hear Chopin coming from every corner. It's like being in Salzburg and trying to be not to see Mozart. Mozart jumps at you from any possible corner. And suites are horrible, by the way. I hate them. And so there was a time when with no Chopin at all, and I was very happy to come back to feel the need to go back to Chopin with this Three Sonatas project, which was very interesting, especially because, I mean, in proportion, nobody plays the first sonata really in comparison to the second and third. And I think it's a great piece. Considering that Chopin edited it at the end of his life, and you could actually see, at least I see, some parallels between the first sonata and the third sonata in writing and texture. No, it's a fascinating piece. Very difficult. It's much more difficult to play than others. That's for sure.
Have you ever tried to open yourself to other Polish composers?
Not playing. Of course, Szymanowski is always there. Not a lot of people play. But I'm so bad with other Polish composers. And unfortunately.
We have a guest here today with us, Matthew Cheng, 11-year-old student, a third prize winner of the Kosciuszko Foundation Chopin Competition for Young Pianists.
Good morning.
Good morning. So happy to see you. And we're super excited to hear you play. Can you tell us what are you going to play for us?
Yeah, okay. I'm going to play the Etude Opus 10, number 8 by Frederic Chopin.
Looking forward, please.
Bravo. See, now you understand why we all have to retire. Because when people play like this at the age of 11, you know, that we have nothing to do. Bravo, Matthew. Sounded great, really. And I wish you all the best with your music. And make sure you play some sports, okay?
Okay.
Yeah, sitting is bad for you.
Matthew, did you prepare any questions for Mr. Cobrin?
Yes, I have one. So, what do you think Chopin's intention is when he like creates a certain etude? Like, does he have what inspires him to make that certain one? Is it for like educational or like entertainment purposes?
Well, you know, actually, there is a lot in your answer already, in your question already. You know, when he wrote first two etudes, he called them exercises, literally.
Oh.
Yeah, and then he wrote the third one, and then he changed the wording. And so I think in every Chopin piece, you can always, it's a beautiful piece of music. And his etudes are called etudes only because they're difficult. But it's just a difficult way of expressing most beautiful pieces of music imaginable, you know. And of course, his intention was to show off, basically, right? I'm not sure he really cared about us playing his music in this sense. But it's fun to play, and most importantly, it's beautiful. And so I think you're treating this piece very nicely in this way, and always do that. Always see the beauty first, and you have great fingers. You have no problem.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Alex, thank you so much for being with us today. It was such a pleasure having you with us.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex. Thanks so much.
Thanks so much.